let's just get back to CNN-IBN for a bit and carry forward that conversation, or rather that discussion that we're having on IPL.
Sunil Gavaskar, who is not a member of any of the board of the association of the board, is in that sense an outsider, has been chosen for this task, is also a precedent which perhaps opens the doors now for the BCCI to be run by people other than the usual suspects, those who are the presidents of state associations. Now there will be questions over whether Mr. Gavaskar, because of his earlier conflict of interest as a BCCI employee, as someone who has not spoken out against Mr. Srinivasan, is the right person from the job. But let's be clear, Sunil Gavaskar brings one thing that the BCCI desperately lacks at the moment, which is stature. I think if Sunil Gavaskar sits on an ICC meeting, he will be taken seriously. So I think this is a limited measure. I do not believe this is a permanent solution, but clearly it is an important step taken towards telling the BCCI that if you don't get your act together, then courts will intervene. And today it's been done in the context of Sunil Gavaskar being made an interim president. Who knows what will happen tomorrow? Clearly the monopoly of the BCCI over Indian cricket has been challenged by the Supreme Court. And I think N. Srinivasan, will he now go in for a review or a curative petition? We don't know that. I don't know, and you might have a better idea whether the BCCI will willingly accept what the court has done. Will they challenge it, or will they simply, because they want to save IPL 7 at the moment, agree to what the court has done and then decide on their next step post IPL 7. So clearly the last has not been heard, Sanjeev, on this entire saga. And remember, the questions still remain over spot fixing, over match fixing, over conflict of interest. At the heart of this entire issue is conflict of interest. And for the longest time, not just Mr. Srinivasan, but several members of the board, several cricketers, including Mr. Gavaskar, have had to face questions over their conflict of interest, Sanjeev.
That's right, Rajdeep. And the other interesting point, the point in the interim order, is that the Supreme Court has permitted Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals to play in the IPL 2014, considering the fact that there's a lot of money which has been invested, perhaps too late in the day. But on the other hand, Rajdeep, the Supreme Court itself had observed yesterday that there are very, very serious allegations which need to be probed thoroughly against these two teams.
Absolutely. There is no doubt that at one level the probe will have to continue. As per the IPLs, if you look at the terms of the IPL, it's clear that the moment any of your principals or your owners are caught in betting and fixing, the team has to be suspended. Now, the court hasn't gone that far. To that extent, they have protected the interests, some would say, of Rajasthan Royals and Chennai Super Kings, or at least of the players, or some of the players who were simply victims, some would say, of what was happening. But the question will arise of whether the court has the authority to take these decisions, whether the court can decide on the internal workings of the BCCI. Will the BCCI challenge that now through a review or a curative petition? And number two is the question whether simply having Sunil Gavaskar there will resolve the other critical issue, like the probe, like the areas of conflict of interest. Will Mr. Gavaskar have some magic wand that he can turn around this board? He brings stature, yes, but is that enough? Is the question to be asked. And I think, while Mr. Srinivasan made today feel that...
Okay, that's the interesting bit. Gaurav Kalra now joins in, senior editor at ESPN Cricinfo. Gaurav, hi, good morning. We were talking about this to you yesterday, and do you think this is the best possible outcome for the fans? The IPL will go ahead, it will still go ahead with both Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan Royals, and in the interim, N. Srinivasan will have to step aside.
Yes, I think that this was the one area, or this is the one aspect of this order that has been passed by the Supreme Court that will definitely come as a big relief for the BCCI. The very fact that Chennai Super Kings and Rajasthan can play in the tournament. Now, not just for those two teams, but for the IPL in general, because it disturbs the balance of the tournament itself. The entire structure of the commercial deal is based on a certain number of matches being played. And if you take two teams out of there, the number of matches reduces significantly. So quite clearly, this is a huge relief for the BCCI on that front. As far as Mr. Gavaskar's appointment is concerned, from my understanding, it does look like he's been appointed specifically during the IPL in an interim capacity. So that clearly means that during the course of the IPL, he is being seen as the person who will sort of shepherd the ship, during what is expected to be a turbulent tournament.
Okay, Gaurav, despite the fact that IPL 7 has no problems and it's been averted, would you think that the franchise will go on maybe to see another IPL 8 or would there be some significant changes up till then?
My sense is that this is, play it as it comes kind of situation. I don't think anyone in the BCCI is looking that far ahead. There'll be a huge sense of relief that they are able to continue with this year's tournament because, as I said earlier, the commercial structure of the tournament would have completely collapsed if they had, been reduced to a six-team tournament. It also benefits the other franchises, or at least saves them, because franchises get TV revenue proportional to the number of games that are played. So in some ways, this is the Supreme Court has actually pulled back from that pretty stark threat that was made yesterday of suspending these two teams, and it allows players who are contracted to these teams now to, at least heave a sigh of relief because they will be able to participate and as a result get compensated. I don't think IPL 8 is even on the agenda at the moment. The BCCI has been rattled by this entire intervention by the Supreme Court and the observations that have been made, and also in what is a significant development, they've actually intervened in the day-to-day functioning of the board and removed Mr. Srinivasan from his position virtually. So that has been perhaps the big message for the BCCI in many ways.
Okay, Gaurav, so final question then. Do you think in all these developments, the brand IPL has taken a hit? The brand, maybe even brand MS Dhoni, has that taken a bit of a hit?
Those are two separate issues. I definitely think that the IPL brand, needs a bit of nurturing because while it remains commercially a viable property and in the way that it's structured, it benefits various stakeholders at various levels. However, I think that the sanctity of the tournament itself is something that the BCCI needs to now focus its energies on. It needs to convince the cricket watching public, which is the biggest stakeholder in this game, that the tournament that it is organizing is clear and clean of all deceit and of even any suggestion of wrongdoing. And I think that will be their big challenge going into this year's tournament. They've already made a bit of a public relations mess, I think, by allowing it to go to Sharjah. But, that is now a fait accompli. It's now a question of how they can repair the rest of it.
All right, Gaurav, appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for joining us. So that's Gaurav Kalra talking about the issues.